Have we talked about swim tag yet? Swim tag, the acronym swim tag?
Nope.
No? All right.
Swell woman in men's tight.
Okay. Swim tag, a great acronym's been around the AP world forever. This is a great thing to remember when you are writing an essay about literature, whether it's in your English class or foreign language class, especially if you're taking any AP classes, IB stuff, or you ever write essays. Core things to consider when writing about literature. Sound, word order, and word choice. Imagery. Meter, which only applies to poetry. Tone. Allusions. And grammar. Now, there's not necessarily something to say. Did you start that, Tony?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. There's not necessarily something to say about all of those in any given essay prompt. Certainly not. But those are the kinds of things you want to focus on when you're writing about literature. Because whether you're writing prose or poetry, a good author is paying attention to usually multiple of these things. Okay? Well, definitely that's going to play out here in poem 45, especially word order. One of the things about Latin, as you know, is that word order is flexible. And because it's flexible, a poet or someone like Cicero can put words where they want to emphasize something or to create little word pictures. And we're going to see that here. Yes?
What exactly?
Meter. Now that's something we're not going to talk about all this year in here. In your English class, we've already talked about it. And meter is things like iambic pentameter, trochaic tetrameter, heroic couplets, ballad stanzas, these kinds of things. It's the rhythm and rhyme. If you've ever heard of rhyme scheme, okay, if you've heard of Shakespeare, especially, he wrote in iambic pentameter, da-dum, 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 that sort of thing. Well, that only, like I say, applies in poetry, but that stuff doesn't happen by accident. A poet will choose a very specific rhythm or a very particular rhyme scheme to emphasize something or to communicate something, and that might be something worth talking about in a particular essay. To bring that up, just kind of stick that away both for this class and others. Acme, Septimius, Suosamores, Tennings, and Gremio, Inquit. This is a story about a Roman boy and a Greek girl. Yes, a Roman boy and a Greek girl. And that's incredibly important because different parts of their culture is going to pop up in this poem. This is not a Catullus and Clodia poem. The lesbian is not in this one. This is just about two other people, and he's just telling a little story about them, singing a little song about them. And he starts off and he says, Septimius Tennings, holding, and he names her Septimius holding Acme. That's her name, Acme. Septimius holding Acme,
Like the gag?
Suosamores. She is his beloved, his love. Septimius holding Acme, his love. Right, she's not his enemy, she's Acme, his love. Holding Acme, his love, in Gremio. In his lap. This is the same word, Gremio, that you had in an earlier Catullus poem. Where did you have a poem that used the word lap? The one with the bird, right? Because the little bird is always hopping around in Clodia's lap. So now the same word. He's holding her, his love, in his lap. We got to stop right there, a line and a half in. Look at the word Acme. If he's holding Acme, then what case should Acme be in? Direct object, which is accusative. Do you know any accusative words in Latin that end with an N? No.
Oh, third declension.
Possible. You're right, possible, but that would only be if it's a neuter. In this case, it's definitely not. All other accusative singulars you know end in what letter? All other accusative singulars in Latin end in what? M. U-M, A-M, E-M, but always begin with an M. What ethnicity did we say she was?
Greek.
Remember your Greek from last year?
Yes.
Hard to.
I remember Alpha.
There's her name in Greek, accusative. First letter is alpha A, the next letter is kappa K. Latin used that, so Latin used the C. The next letter is mu or M. Remember that next one? Eta, a long E. And the last letter is nu, name. This is a Greek accusative singular. Her name is Greek. He has simply brought the letters over. He has simply transliterated her name. This is what it would be as an accusative in Greek. Totally appropriate. Totally appropriate. Right? So she's a direct up. Fine. Accused. What case is Suosamores? Suosamores is also accusative. Because it's renaming her. He's holding her his love.
It's in a positive.
Right? It's in a positive. Exactly right. Do you know what an appositive is?
Rename.
All right. Talk to us, Eric.
Just rename. Is it renaming the same thing? So you could get rid of that and the sentence would still make sense?
That's it. That's exactly it. So, Mr. Brannigan, comma, our principal, comma, had a drill with fire drill, right? And so the appositive in that sentence is principal. It is simply renaming Brannigan. It's giving more information. And literally, it's coming from the Latin odd plus pono poner. Literally, you are, what's pono poner mean? You are placing information odd next to something else. That's all you're doing. Putting information next to something else. Comma, our principle. Acme, comma, his love. Okay? So it's accusative just like she's accusative. Yes. It doesn't modify anything. In fact, it's used in another manner. It does. No, well, however it's being used. Subject, direct object doesn't matter. It gives more information to a noun. In this sentence, Mr. Brannigan is a subject. And the poem here, Acme, is a noun. Means to put next to. So fine. She's accusative. Amores is accusative. Okay? Look at the word order for a moment, line 1. Where is Septimius? He's in the middle. She's at the beginning and she's at the end. Her name and her appositive, that's the same thing. She and love are the same thing. She is at the beginning and the end of the line, he's in the middle. The way he's written the words, she is holding him. But grammatically, he's holding her.
Aww.
Latin can do little stuff like that. English can't pull that off because we're so word order driven. The grammar says that he's holding her. The word order says that she's holding him. Overall, you've just described a what?
Relationship.
An embrace. An embrace. It's not just one holding the other. They're both holding each other. It's an embrace, but it's a beautiful way to do it because he's able to accomplish it with both grammar and word order. So back to swim tag, if you were talking about this, you could comment on both aspects there. Yes?
So had you started with like Septimius, Tennings, Ockman?
It wouldn't have had quite the same feel to it. It would have said the same thing. Septimius holding Acme on his lap.
Or no, if like Acme
Holding his
was
beloved.
in the center of the sentence, like would it basically be the same thing?
If you still kept Septimius as the subject, then really it would suggest and strongly him completely embracing her
Okay.
and her not necessarily reciprocating.
Okay.
This definitely suggests it's mutual. She's hugging him and he's hugging her. Okay? And as he's holding her on his lap, he inquit, and this is a word worth knowing. It's a synonym for deacon, but it comes up a lot. He says, Mea acme, my acne, ni te perdite amo atque amare oro, omne sum ad siduitate paratus, quantum pipote plurimonteria, sols libia in iacque toste, caesio veniam obvius leoni. Ni is short for nisi. You remember nisi? Unless. Very good. If not. He says, if I do not te amo, if I do not love you, and amo is a good old plain what mood verb. Well, first singular is indicative, right? Nice, it's indicative. It's plain old indicative verb. If I do not in fact love you, there's no subjunctive here. There's no question about it. If I do not in fact, really and truly love you. Nice, if I don't love you, perdite. I don't know if anybody found out anything on that or did anything with that. Desperately. We have a very grim expression sometimes we associate with love. We will love something to blank. Death. That's a really odd expression to think about. If you love something to death, what is it you really suggesting about yourself? You love something to death. Yeah. Wow, okay. Well, now let's not go so literal on it. Yeah.
You love it more than you love yourself.
You love it more than you love yourself, right? All the way to the point of death. I would die for you, or this thing, right? I love it to death. Yes.
Okay, but also, there's this thing where, like, when you see something really cute and you just want to, like, squeeze it,
Yes.
that's like your body trying to, like, your mind trying to comprehend how cute it is.
Yes.
Like, not being able to and wanting it to, like, stop being cute so that your mind will stop freaking out about it. So you could interpret it that way.
Yeah. Like a kitten or something.
Really? Yeah.
Some of you are going to understand what she's saying. I get that.
I get that.
Our daughter, who is 10, or she just turned 11, she gets that way sometimes. She gets so excited over the cuteness of something she just can't stand it. And usually that involves her having to somehow squeeze a stuffed animal or something,
okay.
you know, and just squeezing. She herself is squeezy, you know, she's cute. And so, anyway, all right. It's a daddy word. Be quiet. I'm talking about my sweet little girl here.
Alright, I'm not a daddy.
There you go. You're darn right, Leo. You're darn right. You are. All right. All right.
Swag daddy though.
He's a swag daddy, but he's that's it. He says, by acne, if I do not love you, and I would take the perdite the way we do it in English. If I don't what? If I don't love you to
I
death.
thought you said desperately. Yeah.
Either.
Well, I'm saying you can say either.
Okay. I'll write it.
You can say either. If I don't love you to death, if I don't love you to death, and amare poro sum paratus, and if I am not paratus, prepared to amare, imply te again, if I'm not prepared to love, acidue, now, no, acidue. If I get acidue, continually, there you go. Continually. If I love you, that's a given. But also, I'm prepared to love you continually, and he kind of heaps up the expression, continually throughout omnes annos, throughout all the years. Well, that's kind of what continually means, right? It's redundant. But with love, you don't care, right? I mean, you're not counting the words in the bowl.
You're not counting all the kisses.
You're not paying by the word, and you're not counting the kisses. That's exactly right. Yeah, well, you're going to have to stay confused. All right. Line 5. We got to move on. If I don't love you to death, and if I'm not prepared to love you continually throughout omnes annos, Quantum qui pote plurimum perire. You don't have to take my help, but would you like my help on an incredibly difficult one?
Yeah.
Yes,
I will do my suggestion, just take my help and then we'll move on, okay? Quantum you could get. How many or as much? As much as it, and the pote here is really kind of a synonym for protest. As much as it is possible, okay, as much as it is possible. And I'm going to just rewrite that plurimum perire part and bring back the words from line 3. As much as it is possible to perdite amare.
To love you.
To love someone to death. He's piling it on. If I do not love you, and if I'm not prepared to love you, continually, throughout all the years, as much as it is possible to love someone to death. Now, there's a word we use with adjectives. It's the highest degree. This is very much superlative line, right? He's just piling it on. It's over the top, right? It's repetitious. It's redundant. It's hyperbole. It's all that. I want you to get the idea. I love you. I'm always gonna. And if I don't, then here comes the key. Solus in Livia in the aquae Caesio veniam obvius Leon. All right, one little piece of grammar, and this will fall together in sense.
Something about a line.
Something about a line. Venire obvious. Right? You know venio venire is old first year verb. Basic verb of motion is what? To come toward or something like that. You put it with obvious and it means to meet. To meet. Venire obvious is literally to come in the way of. Right? Well, if I come into your way, then obviously I meet you. So he says, if I don't love you, and if I'm not geared up, prepared, and I understand what I'm getting into with this relationship, prepared to love you forever and ever, then may I obvium, veniam obvius, may I meet solus alone, a Caesio leon, a benign life, in Libya, which is Libya, and tosta India, scorched India. What in the world? Flip back to a map. Flip back to a map. Okay? Flip back to the map on page 89. Flip back to the map on page 89. Okay? See if you can find Libya on that map.
Right there.
It's there.
It's under Crete.
It's under Crete, he says. Libya is on the northern part of what continent?
Africa.
Africa. Right, it's right over there by Egypt. All right, everybody see Libya? All right. India, you can't see. That's off to the right. It's off the map. Okay?
It's all love.
For the Romans, as for anybody else, faraway places are exotic. They're mysterious. They're different. Because most people haven't been there. Wherever there is. Whatever's far away for your culture, most people haven't been there. So he uses Libya, and Libya was renowned for desert area. And India, he makes India out to be this really hot, scorched place. And he says, if I don't love you to death, then may I meet alone a green-eyed lion in a far-off land. Now, let's unpack that a little bit. If you meet a lion of any icon alone, why is that particularly dangerous? You would die, right? And so he's saying, I would die if I don't really love
I love
you.
animals.
But
if you had a weapon,
here's the difference. All
I
right?
just thought about that.
Green eyes versus red
Leaving
eyes.
the lion alone. Yeah, what's with the green eye?
Prose versus poetry, and one of the negative adjective forms that comes from prose is prosaic. If something is prosaic, it's just boring, flat, it's written like a textbook. If I don't love you, I'll die. Well, that's what he means, but that's boring. It's just flat, it's conveying information and nothing more. And he gets it up a degree, throws it in the book. It's not just that I will die. No. I'm willing to be mauled by a man-eating lion with no one to help me
What about the green
in some far-off land. Now, how close do you think you gotta be to a lion to know that it's green-eyed? You gotta be, I would go face to face. I would go face to face with a fierce lion in some exotic land if I don't in fact love you. Yes.
There was some story I think we read last year. It was about like these two lovers that were separated by a wall.
Yes, Pyramus and Thisbe.
Yes, and not in the name,
Yeah.
but it was like didn't one of them think they got mauled by a lion?
Yes. Yes, the girl,
Do you think that
her
was
scarf.
kind of inspired things?
Well, it could have been, because the guy who wrote that was Ovid, and he wrote during the reign of the Emperor Augustus, so you're talking not too long, not too terribly long after. I don't know that that directly inspired it, but still the idea, obviously, of a fearsome creature, and again, that was supposedly took place in Babylon,
Yeah.
Persia,
Basically an
right,
older
so again,
version
it's
of
an
Romeo
exotic
and
thing.
Juliet.
Well, the gods approve of this. Hoc ut dixit, amor sinistra, ut ante dextra, sternuit approbationem. And this is where we have to finish it up. Now, a little piece of grammar. You're used to sing the word ut. And you think of ut, you usually think of two things. So that, or
So
simply that, yeah. If it's so that, it's what? What kind of clause?
purpose.
Purpose clause, okay? If it's that, it's result clause, right? But either way, whether it's purpose or result,
Or so that
they
not.
both use what kind of verb?
Subjunctive.
Subjunctive, right? I'd be writing this down if I were you, because this definitely changes your life a little bit.
Are we gonna use it in the
If,
indicative?
however, ut is followed by the indicative rather than the subjunctive, it can mean either how or as. So this is no big deal. This is why you need to know all that grammar stuff and know your verb forms, and that's why we drilled that for 2 years.
What is it for next to so that?
So that is a purpose clause, that is a result clause, but either way it's a subjunctive verb.
Or so that not.
Dixit, if you look at line 8, Dixit is what mood? Indicative. As he Dixit hoc. As he said this, Amor did something. Now, Amor is not a thing here, Amor's a who.
Almost the girl, she's actually.
Nope.
No.
Amor is,
Gods, like Cupid.
it's Cupid. In this instance, it's Cupid. Because it's the masculine version of love, it
Only
is
one
definitely Cupid.
Only.
It's that is not
Only one
multiple.
Cupid?
This time, yeah, it's not
Cupid
Venuses and
and
Cupids. Right, it's just Cupid himself. A little fat baby with wings. All right. It's that.
Can you start over from the?
As he said this. And you could say love with a capital L, or you could say Cupid, whichever you prefer. Cupid did something.
What did Cupid do?
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Now, it's
What Cupid
weird,
did
but
this
here's the
time?
thing you gotta understand. We gotta go back to Jupiter. Who's Jupiter? King of the gods. Part of the mythology for Jupiter or Zeus is a Greek counterpart. When Jupiter or Zeus approved something, he would very slowly nod his head. He's so big and so powerful, he doesn't have to move fast for anybody. This is a very solemn, slow gesture. It's this. I approve. That's his standard thing. Now, what sort of motion does your head make when you sneeze?
Goes on.
It's this awkward, jerky thing. Well, that's Cupid. Right? Cupid's version of the solemn head nod is this jerky little awkward motion. He doesn't nod his approbationem. And what's approbationem? His what? Well, no. His what? His approval. He sneezed his approval.
That is so dumb.
Same.
Cupid sneezed his approval.
Phew.
And he sneezed his approval on the sinistra,
Left.
on the left side, as he had ante before
Sneeze.
on the dextra,
Sneeze on the right.
on the right. What is he talking about here?
He sneezed twice.
Well, he sneezed twice, but here's the deal. For the Romans, one side was lucky and the other side was unlucky. And for the Greeks, it was backward. So Cupid sneezes in two directions. Now either you could take that as doubly lucky
Or doubly
or
unlucky.
doubly unlucky. He's either sneezing in a direction that would please Septimius and please Acme, or he's sneezing in a direction that would displease Acme and displease Septimius.
But is it Cupid or Eros?
It's total confusion. Yeah.
Good
Left
afternoon,
is
North
Greek
Central. This is
good.
Mrs. Payne with one brief announcement
Right.
before we leave for the day.
Roll.
This is just a reminder that the after-school learning center will be closed today. It will reopen on tomorrow. Once again, the after-school learning center is closed for today, but it will reopen tomorrow. Have a great day, North Central, and we'll see you tomorrow.
No. Hey, Tony, would you shut that for us, please?